So today I have a double feature for you. I'll be reviewing the Star Axe series, and we'll kick it off with Legend of the Star Axe. Now, you've probably never heard of this game, and don't worry, that's to be expected, because unless you owned an Apple IIGS and subscribed to Softdisk back in the early 90s, you wouldn't have had access to it, and so you never would have even heard of it. Now, on the surface, Legend of the Star Axe may appear as just another space shooter, and perhaps that's all it is. But I can't even begin to tell you how much I played this game back in the early 90s. I mean, there were a handful of 2GS titles that I probably spent like 90% of my time with. Zany Golf would be in there, Thexter, the Sierra games like Space Quest, and Legend of the Star Axe. Now, this was created by Tom Hall, who we all know from id Software and then later Apogee. But before he worked for those companies, he worked for Softdisk, and he wrote this game and co-wrote a couple other games as well. This particular game was on Softdisk GS issue number 8, which still stands as my favorite issue simply because it has this game on it. So as far as the gameplay, as you can see, you control this spacecraft, the Star Axe, at the bottom of the screen, and you can move left and right, but you can't go up and down. But it's not really the gameplay that stands out for me, it's just the quirkiness of the game. I mean, here I'm, blasting away at 57 Chevys. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and that's what I love about it, the quirkiness. And that's what Tom Hall's known for. And so this is definitely has his signature all over it. So you start off the game with 3 ships, and every 10 phases that you complete, you're awarded an additional ship. And that grid on the right reveals what the new enemy's going to be in the next phase. And so here you can see space bugs approaching. And you get exactly what you were told. Space bugs. Okay, these Organons are a real pain in the ass. So it's kind of like an Asteroids clone, where you shoot this heart-looking thing and it just, breaks off into pieces. But the only difference is, unlike asteroids, you're stuck to the bottom of the screen. And so if you have an asteroid coming from below you, like that, you're kind of screwed. And so you just want to be really careful in this level. Sometimes I'll get lucky, but usually I'll lose 1 life. Asteroid swine. And it's exactly what you would think it would be. Pigs in space. It's pretty funny to think that Tom Hall made this, and then just a couple years later he would go on to help create Wolfenstein 3D. I mean, could you have 2 games that were any more different from one another? Okay, so this is phase 10, the last phase. And so kill these weird purple things. And you're off to phase 11. And at this point, the game just loops. It's just sort of an arcade-style game. It does get more difficult, though. Like, as you can see, these things are throwing projectiles at you, whereas they weren't earlier. And some of the enemies are going to do the same thing in the later phases. The asteroid belts that happen, I think, in Phase 4, they're going to go a lot faster, and there's going to be a lot more of them. And so things like that, so the difficulty kind of increases for you. But really the objective of the game is just to get a high score. And so usually I try to go for, getting to Phase 99 or something, although I usually can't make it that far. But this is Legend of the Star Axe. And now it's time for Son of Star Axe. So this is the direct sequel to Legend of the Star Axe. It was released a couple years later, again by Softdisk, but Tom Hall was not behind this game. And it's kind of funny because I didn't even know this game existed until just last year. I was responding to a Craigslist ad to pick up some 2GS stuff, and the guy had it on his hard drive. And I was like, are you kidding me? There's a sequel to Legend of the Star Axe? So came home and downloaded the game. And to be honest, I was pretty disappointed. Not because it's a bad game. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty decent space shooter. But, you know, it's not Legend of the Star Axe. I mean, it's lacking all of that quirkiness, the personality that really made Legend of the Star Axe stand out for me. But it is what it is. I mean, it's just a, you know, generic space shooter. Again, you can only move left and right on the bottom of the screen, and you're shooting projectiles upward to your enemies. But what's different is, I mean, there's not, you know, the unique sound effects, there's not the funny enemies, and the game's really easy for like the first 5-6 minutes. I mean, as you can see, you can shoot like dozens of bullets at the same time, whereas earlier you can only shoot a couple. But the game does spike up in difficulty soon enough, and after you get hit too many times, you don't have the rapid fire ability anymore. You're only shooting a couple at a time. And so once you reach that point, it's really just a matter of dodging the enemies the best you can. But you're pretty much going to die within about probably a couple minutes once you reach that point. So all in all, it's okay, but I would definitely try out Legend of the Star Axe if you have the opportunity. So thanks for watching.